Scorpio, the month of May is a beautiful, rich, and deep month for you. It's very complex, but if I were to boil this down in one sentence, you are going through a process of awakening or redefining that is actually helping you find alignment in your relationships and attract relationships that are aligned with you. But in order to find the people who are correct for you, you first are going through this transformation process. And a lot of this is really being catalyzed by the full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in your sign on May 5th. And this is also happening during Mercury retrograde, so miscommunications are kind of bound to occur. There might be a misunderstanding, or you feel like other people aren't really connecting with you, or you can't really connect with other people. And this time is really about going very deep within yourself, and there may be a very unexpected transformation or shift. And towards the middle of this month, we have a really beautiful turning point because Mercury goes direct on the 14th. We actually have Jupiter, the planet of luck, expansion, and opportunity, entering into your opposite sign Taurus on the 16th. And this is what's really helping you find relationships or partnerships that are going to be beneficial to you. And this is even more compounded by the fact that we have a new moon in Taurus on the 19th. And honestly, this whole week, this whole time period feels like a really nice way to ground after the intensity that is more than likely to brew at the beginning of this month. Granted, there are a lot of things that are shifting. It's kind of like finding these moments of reprieve, finding our center as we're going through this very powerful and transformative time overall. I feel like May is a turning point for you, Scorpio, and one that is going to be really shifting your life, not only for this year, but really for the rest of your life. If you're excited for this month's reading, then definitely be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you're always up to date with what's in the cards for you. For those of you who are brand new to this channel, my name is Michael, and I utilize tarot and tropical astrology to intuit monthly forecasts for your zodiac sign. For those of you who are ready for a deep dive, you can find links for personal readings and distance Reiki sessions in the description of this video, as well as links for all of my other social media accounts. So I'm going to shuffle some cards for you, Scorpio. I'm curious to see what comes out. May is definitely a really powerful month for you. And interesting that the very first card that comes out is the King of Cups in reverse. This is past influence, but this is actually one of your indicator cards. This is a Scorpio energy card. And I feel like a lot of you have been in this sort of place where I feel like you've been a little depressed, or you've been lonely, or isolated, and I don't think a lot of people see that looking at you. The thing with the King of Cups is that this energy can be very composed, and sometimes the King of Cups can kind of be like the expression, still waters run deep. Even though someone looks very calm on the surface, there can be a lot going on, a lot of intensity, a lot of really big feelings. And I kind of get the sense that you've been going through this process, Scorpio. With the King of Cups in reverse, we also have the Ten of Swords, which can indicate some sort of upheaval, pain, or kind of sharp or harsh ending. But this is energy that you've actually been in. Maybe this is something that's also occurring with the eclipse as well. Something is ending, something is changing, and it's like, I can't help but see these two cards as a false self or a false ego falling away. And it's like, I just have this feeling, Scorpio, like something happens at the beginning of this month where you are, I don't want to say detached, but like you're unattached from your thoughts, from your emotions. You realize that you aren't your thoughts, you aren't your emotions, or you're able to just see yourself in a very different way. And somehow this perspective shift causes a very important transformation for you. We have the Sun in reverse. Honestly, the message I get here is it's like you're realizing you're not happy, and the thing you think that's going to make you happy might be changing. Or you might realize that you've been wanting something because you think you're supposed to want it. There's been a lack of clarity, and things might be really confusing. I feel like you've gone through this period where it's like you might have lost many things that were very important or personal to you, and it's like you don't even know who you are anymore. You've changed so much. You don't even know what's true to you. Interesting. We have the Two of Swords. Honestly, the challenge this month is feeling disconnected. And I see this as kind of a double whammy for you, Scorpio. It's like you're feeling disconnected from yourself, but you're also feeling perhaps disconnected from other people. And I think it's really important that you are seeking out help or speaking to someone, especially if you're struggling. Honestly, sometimes when I think of the King of Cups, I do think of like a therapist, someone who's very emotionally intelligent, and maybe someone who can help you kind of shift your perspective here. Because I do feel like there's a perspective shift that you're going through. And I feel like with the Two of Swords, there's just not a lot of rushing. And that really makes a lot of sense because we do have Mercury retrograde in Taurus, the slowest sign of the zodiac, no less. And even when Mercury goes direct, we're kind of in the post-shadow or catch-up phase. So things aren't happening very quickly in the month of May. And it's important to be really patient. It's important to give yourself extra time. It's important to understand that some people are going to be very stubborn or holding on to their views. It's going to be very hard to feel connected. And there's this very deep questioning of like, well, who am I? And sometimes when we're trying to get other people to hear our truth, we can forget to listen to our own truth. And I get that for you, for some of you. We do have the Nine of Wands in the future as well. And what's interesting is I kind of clarified all of this energy with the Ace of Cups. So there is, I believe, a new relationship in the horizon for many of you. And I do see the end of a very challenging period with the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands really does indicate sort of a feeling of burnout or exhaustion or depletion, but ultimately you have seen it through the night, and there is a new dawn that is approaching. There is a new beginning. And with the Two of Swords, you might be really guarded. Scorpio, you might be very withdrawn. You might be the one who is actually putting up walls. But with the Ace of Cups, it's really important to open your heart. And again, you have to come into alignment with yourself first. And the Ace of Cups can also represent self-love too. And when you have this self-love, or when you really commit to this relationship with yourself, this kindness, very often the universe will reflect that back to us through another person, through a partner, or through other relationships. through other sorts of connections or interactions. I'm just getting a stream here, a download for this group where it's like you had to act like a different person or be a certain person for other people when you were growing up. I feel like a lot of you are parentified children, actually. And part of this month is letting go of this behavior or pattern of trying to anticipate or become what other people need and just becoming very honest with what you need and finding that authenticity. And it's so funny, Scorpio, because it's like with the Nine of Wands, it's like I almost get the sense of like, you know what? Fuck it. I try giving people exactly what they want or what they need, and it doesn't get me anywhere. It doesn't make them love me anymore. It doesn't make the relationship last. It doesn't give me the things that I'm also needing. And it's like when you give up that charade, when you give up that game, which is codependency, by the way, that's when this love comes. That's when this true connection comes in. Tell me more about this Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups with the Ace of Pentacles. There could be a commitment, a relationship that comes from the work you are doing now. We do have the Page of Wands, so there's the potential for a lot of chemistry or excitement or passion. For those of you who aren't really curious about love or asking about love, this could also just be you committing to some sort of project or some sort of life chapter. I really get like a creative energy with the Page of Wands, something that really lights you up. Something is making you feel really, really good, and it feels like there's a promise or a commitment that is attached to this energy. Some of you are maybe even leaving a job or walking away from a role or detaching from a role and starting to embrace what it is you really want to be or do. And I really do feel like there's a lot of inner child work that's happening for you. And I think with Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius, that actually happens on May 1st. Pluto is going to retrograde all the way back into Capricorn in June, and it's going to be there until the beginning of next year. But in this meantime, in the month of May and through the first part of June, I really do feel like this is a time to decondition yourself from beliefs and insecurities that are deeply rooted from childhood for you, or intergenerational trauma. And part of this is you, like, it feels like you're remembering who you were as a little kid, what you wanted to be when you grew up, and it feels like this is the thing that gives you life. This is the thing that you are committing to for yourself. And maybe you haven't forgotten what it is you're trying to do or what it is that you want to do, but you've been bargaining. Oh, I'll write my book once I have this 40-hour-a-week job, once I have this, amount of money in my bank. You've been putting conditions on things. But what you've actually been doing is trying to live a life that isn't authentic to you. And that's also why a lot of you might be struggling with relationships right now, because you're trying to fulfill a role or be a person that you think you're supposed to be, as opposed to being the person that you want to be. The Magician. Yes, you are coming into a very potent and magical time. And I really think that manifesting, especially towards the end of this month, once we're out of eclipse season, I think the new moon in Taurus is a beautiful time to manifest. And especially for you, Scorpio, real, genuine love, which you can only experience to the degree with which you are willing to be vulnerable or authentic or real or able to do that. And it's also helping you manifest things that you want for yourself. So really, regardless of what it is that you are desiring, regardless of what your heart's desire, this Ace of Cups represents to you, there is this major alignment that is happening. And again, I don't want to sugarcoat it. The beginning of this month in particular could be really, really intense, and you might even feel that for a while. You might feel that shedding or that releasing. You've been in sort of a waning cycle, a releasing cycle, but I feel like that's actually shifting for you now, Scorpio. Let's see. Let's pull some animal cards for you as well. I like to think of these as energies for you to embody, or just messages or signs to look out for from Spirit. I swear to God, this moth card has come out so often in these general readings. I think for the past several months, I've seen moth in like a majority of these zodiac readings I have done. And the moth represents a transformation. It represents a dark night of the soul. It represents emerging as well. I feel like a lot of you are really coming into this emerging from the dark night. And you've been in a place where you've been isolated, where you've had to spend a lot of time with yourself or reflecting or introspecting. And where exactly you are in this transformation process, it's going to be very personal for you. It's hard to really say in a general reading. But there is this transformation. There's this beauty here. And it's like appreciating your true beauty, your unique beauty. Because when I see the moth, I can't help but think of the butterfly, which is kind of the counterpart. And it's the thing that everyone, really lights up about. Or, people seem to prefer the beauty of the butterfly. But moths can be very beautiful and deeply sensitive and hyper-aware. And in many ways, they're like nature's astrologers. They actually track starlight. They use starlight and moonlight to navigate, which is why they're drawn to flames. So there's this sort of divine guidance. Navigation is very important for you this month. Learning to find your true light. We also have the gazelle, which is a very beautiful energy. And again, hyper-vigilant, hyper-aware can come up with this card. There's a lot of grace, there's a lot of awareness, there's a lot of intuition, there's a lot of beauty with this card. But it can also be this tendency to look for threats, or just having your nervous system on high alert. And needing to ground yourself, needing to kind of come back into the present moment. Yes, it's important to be aware, but don't drive yourself crazy thinking of all the could-be's or, could have beens. And just become very, very present, Scorpio. Become very present with who you want to be in this moment. And who you are in this moment. Are there any other messages for Scorpio? The Fool, your new beginning is here. And it might feel like a leap of faith. It might feel like you kind of tripped off a cliff. But either way, the new beginning is coming. It's already been set into motion. And in fact, there are a lot of things happening in your life that almost feel destined. I kind of heard that, like, the things that are happening in your life are meant to happen at this time for a very specific reason. You've been waiting for something to change. You've been waiting for the next chapter, the next phase. And it wasn't actually supposed to come sooner. Things are still happening in divine timing, but the time is now, Scorpio. So very, very exciting stuff. Please let me know in the comments down below what this shift is. What is it that you really want? Maybe writing that out can be a very powerful exercise for you. You can find all of my links in the description box down below if you'd like a personal reading or distance Reiki session. For those of you who feel so called, there is also a donation link if you made it this far. Otherwise, just hit like and subscribe. Anything to support the channel is deeply, deeply appreciated. And I think that's everything. I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Scorpio, and have a happy and blessed May.